Hello there. Welcome back to the Codex. So I had a very tasty Invigoration available this week, and instead of putting it on the frame that it was for, I decided to use my override that I've been saving for something like this, and put it on my Gyre instead. That Invigoration is 100% ability range and 75% parkour velocity. Now, the parkour velocity is nice. It does make the frame, feel great to run around with and whatnot, but the main point here is the 100% ability range. I'm about to show you how absolutely crazy of an invigoration that is to get on Gyre. Let's hop into the build here, though, first. So in terms of the shards, I was using both of these Talford's Violet shards for the 15% ability damage against enemies affected by electricity status, but so often with the way that I play her, specifically going into fissures and getting corrupted and whatnot, and using pillage for armor strip and so on, so on, I'm one-shotting so many of the enemies that a lot of the time I'm not actually benefiting from this. So I kept one of these shards on, but I just switched the other one to the primary electric damage shard, just to get some free electric damage on something like my Sabaris, for example, or whatever I happen to be using when I'm playing as Gyre. Figured why not, it seems thematic, it's a little bit more damage on my weapon, not that I really need that when playing as Gyre, but that shard slot is really, it really doesn't need to be the ability damage, so I just swapped it out, and I'm going to try out a different setup here. Now, I am still using the two Tau Forged Ability Strength Shards, which are actually mandatory on my version of the build to hit a certain strength threshold I would talk about in a moment here. And I'm still using the Tau Forged Casting Speed Shard, just because it does make her feel better to use. Now, the reason why I need, on this specific build, those two Strength Shards is because with those two Strength Shards plus Molt Augmented and Corrosive Projection, I'm hitting exactly the 328% strength that you need to have a full armor strip, which is an 82% strip from pillage, and then it combines with the 18% strip from corrosive projection, and those just add together directly and give you a full armor strip. So once basically my Molt Augmented is stacked up, I will have the ability to fully strip enemies with pillage, which is of course a large damage increase and allows your electric procs from Rotor Swell to actually scale into much higher levels on Steel Path, especially when you go into a fissure and get corrupted, which is almost exclusively where I use this build. I love to bring her to survival missions, especially the Conjunction Survival, which a fissure actually happens to be up right now, conveniently, so I'm going to hop in there in a moment and show that to you guys. So this build focuses around strength and range, and you can see with that invigoration, I usually have 265 range. Right now I have 365% range, which is insane for Rotor Swell. The really crazy thing about that is because Cathode Grace is an ability that gets duration back from kills, and because of Cathode Current, the augment, it makes Rotor Swell do the same thing. Both of these abilities are two of the very few abilities in the game that are able to snapshot range. Most abilities in the game cannot snapshot the double range corruption from the Fissure bonus when you pick up your 10th reactant and you get the temporary double strength, double range. Typically, abilities that are recastable or able to maintain them, they're able to keep the power strength bonus, but range bonuses are not coded to be kept on refresh. But since these abilities are maintaining themselves and you're not technically refreshing them, you never have to actually click the ability again, they directly get duration back from kills. The cast counts as the same cast that you originally cast when you had the range bonus, so as long as you cast these while you're corrupted and then you don't touch them, you keep that double range permanently, which means that this build actually has effectively 730% range when you're in a fissure after you get corrupted, as long as you don't get nullified and whatnot. So it's really disgusting how good this is. And for the rest of the mods here, I am using Archon Stretch instead of regular Stretch, just because, of course, it gives the same range bonus as Stretch, but you get the free energy regen. Since she is Gyre, she does do electric damage with her abilities, so there's really no reason not to use this. When you combine Archon Stretch with Cathode Grace, especially if you're going to get corrupted, you will get way more energy than you need when you combine that with Arcane Steadfast, which is an arcane that gives you basically free ability cast every once in a while. It gives you a 20% chance that the next 3 abilities will not cost energy every time you cast an ability. So you'll get multiple free casts, and really the only thing I'm casting is Pillage, because once the 3 and the 4 are set up, those are permanent. So the only thing you're repeatedly casting is Pillage. So the energy economy is essentially perfect on this build, at least in Fissures. Now, aside from that, like I said, it's mostly range and strength to really make Rotor Swell and Cathode Grace super effective. We do also have Rolling Guard just for a little bit of a safety measure. If you get any crazy procs on you or there's a lot of enemies around you, you mess up your shield gating a little bit, anything like that. So yeah, it's basically the same version of the build I was using before. I will say if you're not taking this to a Fissure, you might want to consider dropping Reach for Prime Flow. If you're gonna have energy concerns. The reason why I don't have energy concerns, again, is because I'm relying on the fact that I will eventually get corrupted. So eventually Cathode Grace will give me an absurd amount of energy per second. The weapons don't really matter aside from if you really want to min-max the setup, you can use the Grimoire. And you can use the Voam Invocation to give yourself another 60% strength, which again, that will be doubled as well by corruption, so this will actually give you 120% strength if you use this while you're corrupted. So between the 328% strength that Gyre will have, the 60% you can get from this, and the 40% you can get from Matterai Void Sling, and the 1.28x multiplier you can get from using a Nidus Spectre, you can get over 1,000% strength on this build. And that's normal. You can always get over 1,000% strength in this build in Fissures. The crazy thing, again, is having that range invigoration, because range is really the real buff to this build, because strength is so easy to get. The companion, you can use basically whatever you want. A lot of the time, your companion won't be able to do a whole lot, because Gyre kills everything in such a wide radius around you, that your companion's going to be probably just chilling a lot of the time. And that's okay. So yeah, we're going to go hop into survival here, and I'm going to show you how absolutely disgusting getting 100% extra range on Gyre is. Because when you're corrupted, that's actually 200%. So yeah, let's hop into a Fissure here. Alright, we're in a Fissure here. I will say, if you want to make survivability super easy, and especially the initial setup phase of the build, you can throw yourself down a, I just forgot his name, a Dante Spectre, and he'll give you Overguard. That definitely helps with survivability outside of, just having to rely on shield gating, of course, especially when, like I said, you're trying to get that initial setup going, your first few ability casts. So here we go. So the first few minutes here, we just need to stack up that Molt Augmented. We want to hit that 250 as quickly as possible that way. Whenever we do get corrupted, we are at the, the strength cap that we're able to hit, essentially. And then after that point, we just have to use our Matterai Void Dash and our Grimoire buff, if you feel like doing that, to truly maximize your strength. And specifically in this mission, if you're doing a conjunction survival, you also have this guy walking around, the Lone Guardian. When you stand near him, you get extra casting speed, but you also get a 50% strength buff, which again, if you're corrupted, that corruption will also double that 50% to 100%. So lots of different buffs that you can combine here to have a insane amount of strength to pair with this absurd amount of range that we have at the moment. This is not a bad room, so I'll just sit here for the duration of this video, I think, and chill. Looks like we did not get the corruption on the frame, unfortunately. I think I got it on the Grimoire, which is funny because it already has infinite ammo, so not super useful. But yeah, you can see even without having the strength buff stacked up all the way, and without the corruption and no Nidus Spectre and all the different kind of buffs you can add to this build, it still starts slaying basically immediately. And I already have, about 200 kills. My energy economy is nowhere near as good as it could be. You'll see once you get corrupted how perfect the energy economy is from having that corrupted Cathode Grace cast. But for right now, we're just kind of waiting on the corruption, essentially. I will say you can make this build a lot better if you're playing in a team. If you have at least one other person, it's really nice to have somebody with Banshee's Silence on, and you don't have to actually play as Banshee to get that, because that's her subsume ability. So whatever frame they're playing as, if they put Silence on and cast that when the Acolyte's going to spawn in, Silence keeps them from casting any abilities. So Violence, for example, won't be able to nullify you, which is the main downside of this build, I would say, essentially. You really do not want to get nullified, especially after you get those corrupted casts of your 3 and your 4. Getting nullified will, reset your huge buffs, essentially, and then you have to wait for that corruption again. So it is fantastic if you have somebody supporting you in that way. Yeah, let's just keep getting some kills here. You can see we're already at that multi-augmented cap. Only took basically like 2 minutes to get the 250 kills, so it's not a struggle at all. I've heard a lot of people say they don't like using multi-augmented for like normal builds because they don't like the requirement of having to get 250 kills, but on a frame like Gyre, at least on Steel Path with the amount of enemies that spawn, getting 250 kills takes like a non-existent amount of time because she kills stuff so fast. With a build like this, at least. You can see pillage is really what brings this build together. Being able to armor strip, especially at the much higher levels, like these guys are only 200, but once you get to like, you know, 500, 1,000, whatnot, the ability to take off all that armor, which is basically a 10 times damage multiplier, since armor gives 90% damage reduction at these kind of levels, is quite the scaling bonus to her electric procs. You combine that with, like I keep saying, getting corrupted, and you will do plenty of damage. I have seen truly absurd numbers come out of Gyre. Let's think in just a moment here. I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to share this first Acolyte kill. Just because why not? We'll see how the Sabaris is with the extra electric damage on it. And then I'm going to skip the gameplay up to where I get corrupted, just so you guys don't have to, you know, sit here and potentially wait for 20 minutes for me to get that. So there's an Acolyte kill that was, of course, extremely easy, because the Sabaris incarnate is amazing, along with Gyre being amazing. So that was to be expected. But yeah, I'm going to go hop into a quick little fast forward here, and I'll see you guys back here once I get corrupted, alright? Well, that didn't take very long at all. Like a minute after I paused, I got the corruption, so that's very good. So once you do get this, when you want to reset your third and your fourth ability, just find a pit to jump into, essentially, and throw yourself into that. And then when you get respawned forcefully, that'll, of course, turn off your abilities. Now, we got fortunate here, and I think the Lone Guardian is also nearby. I think he just... Where did he go? I just saw him. He's leaving. Here we go. So if you go to this guy, like I said, you get even more strength. So now let's throw down a Nidus Spectre here. So he gives me a multiplicative 1.28x link. And let's do the Materite dash. And let's throw the Grimoire to get that 60% buff. And then we will cast. Let's pause here and go see how insane these buffs are. So, yeah, my critical chance is at 679%. That actually doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound like... That sounds like that should be higher. No, never mind. That's right, because the base is 50%. Yeah, so that's over 1,000% strength. My bad. I thought the base was like 80 or something. Yeah, so that is... That's like 1,350% strength, going from 50 to 679. Because going from 50 to 500 would be 1,000% strength, because that would be 10x. So yeah, and the energy rate is 20.39. So I just went from 1.5, the baseline, to getting over 20 energy a second from Cathode Grace. And that's also in addition to the passive 2 energy a second that you almost constantly get from Archon Stretch. So energy issues just got completely solved. So ta-da! Gyre's insane now. And now that I did that, I'm going to switch back to a Dante Spectre. Again, we're just really min-maxing the ease of use of this setup here, so getting that free overguard is crazy. Also, this is my favorite room, so this run's really going well. Thank you, gods of YouTube, for giving me the best possible subs for this video. Or gods of Warframe, perhaps I should say. Yeah, now you can see I'm constantly red critting, and the range on my rotor swell, now that it's 730%, which again is permanent, as long as I keep getting the kills to maintain it and I don't recast manually, I permanently have 730% range. So if I get enough kills, and as long as I don't get nullified, I'm going to have 730% range 3 hours from now, for example, if I stay in this mission that long. So yeah, this is completely ridiculous. I'm just going to stand here, and you can see, no matter how far away they are in this room, I can hit this entire room with electric procs. And look at the amount of damage that I'm doing, even if I don't strip them. This is actually disgusting how good this is. And speaking of the, especially the non-armor stripped enemies, if I do hit them and they don't die, keep in mind that I still have that one Violet Shard on for the 15% extra ability damage against enemies affected by electric. So if I do have to hit them with a follow-up discharge, that second hit from Gyre will do 15% more damage, which, you know, will feed more into guaranteeing that they die by that second hit. Although most of them, as you see, are going to die in that first hit. You can see we're not even at the 10-minute mark, but I already have over 1,000 kills. So we're easily getting past 100 KPM, and that's without even being corrupted the entire time. We haven't even been corrupted for half the time. Now we're at 1,097 kills. Now we're at 1,108. Now we're at 1112. You can see every time I tab, it just keeps going up. I'm literally just standing here, not actively doing anything, unless I want to cast Pillage, and you just keep getting kills. 1155, 1159, 1164, 1171. Tell me down in the comments, have you seen a crazier build than this in terms of just passively murdering the room around you? Now here comes another Acolyte. Hopefully it's not violence, because if it is violence, then I risk being nullified. Okay, good. It's just Mania. We're all good. We're all good here. Where's Mania? There's Mania. Goodbye. That's another thing that's insane on Gyre is your weapons become absolutely wild from the massive critical chance buff that you get from the her third ability. As you saw, it was giving almost 600% or whatever it was critical chance, which on something like the Sabaris and Karnan is a disgusting critical chance buff with how strong it already is. So yeah, this is why Gyre is my favorite frame in the game. Honestly, like I didn't used to like to say that. I don't like the question of what's your favorite frame in the game because I don't do like mains or anything like that. But if you made me answer that question, it's Gyre. I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. She's still crazy if you don't have the range invigoration, by the way. Obviously, getting that extra 200% range, and I say 200, not 100, because again, since the invigoration gives you 100% range, and range is doubled when you're corrupted, it's actually 200% extra range over a regular build. So yeah, this is just absurd. I think my discharge radius right now is like 70 meters. We'll go look at that in a moment here after I pick a relic. Oh yeah, these Thrax are about to get absolutely murdered too. They recorporealize. There we go. Let's kill these guys real quick. Alright, now let's go look at my ability. So actually, it won't say because I'm not corrupted anymore. So it says my discharge range is 36 meters, but that's because right now I'm not corrupted, but my current cast is corrupted. So my actual discharge range is double that, so it's like 72, 73 meters of discharge radius, which is just disgusting. So basically, oh man, I mean, do you see the amount of red crits on my screen? I sound like a Gyre fanboy right now. That's because I am a Gyre fanboy. She's incredible. It's truly insane how people don't play this frame. And I don't just mean when you're invigorated. Because again, even if you're not invigorated, if you're in a room like this, you're still basically hitting the entire room. The fact that so few people play Gyre, in the face of her being able to do something like this, it's saddening. I feel bad for people that don't get a chance to experience how incredible this is. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I just wanted to show something kind of different. I've done one or two invigorated builds before. Some people like them, some people hate them. You can let me know down below. Do you like seeing videos in which I showcase invigorated frames, or do you feel like it's annoying because you can't use it all the time? I don't know. It's up to you guys. Like I said, let me know down below. But again, if you copy this exact build and use it without invigoration, it's still going to be insane. Like if I take this Gyre build with no invigoration to a survival like this, I'm always going to get the most kills, 100% of the time. Like it does not matter what other frame somebody brings, I will get the most kills. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna keep murdering absolutely everything in this room for however long, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.